It says here that Intuitive Machines' Odysseus lunar lander took Elvis Presley, Bob Marley, and Jimi Hendrix music to the moon. In fact, there was so much musical legend on that lander, it fell over under the sheer weight of all that musical genius. Which is saying something, considering that the moon has 1/6 the gravity of Earth. Well, Elvis is on the moon. And if that doesn't deserve a drink, I don't know what does. To the bar. Ta-da! We're there. Before we blast off, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. It costs you nothing, and yet it means the world to my self-esteem. Thanks, you're a real pal. Good evening, acquaintances, allies, associates, and assholes, cohorts, compadres, comrades, and clodpoles. Welcome to another episode of Before the Mast, a show where I teach you the finer points of drinking while telling you about the sleazier points of service to this great nation. Tonight's cocktail is the Bahama Mama, a delectable concoction of rum, coconut, pineapple, and coffee. And it's got a really fun name to say. Bahama Mama, Bahama Mama, Bahama Mama Mama Hama, Bahama Hama Hama Mama. Oh. Let's break out the booze. For this drink you will need dark rum. I'm using Pusser's Gunpowder Strength. Coconut rum, I'm using Malibu. Coffee liqueur, I'm using Kahlua. And finally, the coup de grace, overproof rum. I'm using Ray and Nephew. And your non-alcoholic mixers will be fresh squeezed lemon juice, got them lemons back in, and pineapples. My pineapple tree has not yet come to fruition. Let's build this. By the way, today's recipe is coming out of the Ultimate Bar Book. It's a go-to for me. It's a really great book, has a lot of really cool recipes. And the recipe that I'm going with today can be found on page 252. Let's do this. Dark rum, 1 ounce. Coconut rum, 1/2 ounce. Kahlua, 1/2 ounce. Pineapple juice, 4 ounces. Lemon juice, 1.5 ounces. And give it a vigorous shaking. Probably good. Break out the chalice of your preference. Now, this can be served up in a chilled cocktail glass if you want to be hoity-toity about it. Or you can do it like I do it and just dump it in. And finally, the coup de grace. Float that Ray and Nephew right on top. Now you can light it on fire if you so choose. Cheers, Dicks. It's a fruity drink, yet it's not sweet. It's definitely more sour than anything. The lemon is really forward, so use a good lemon juice or fresh squeezed. I think that maybe my lemons are just on the unripe side of ripe, but still good. Yeah, that's delicious. The lemon's really, really there. I think when I remake this, I'm going to make it with a little less lemon juice. But that's the fun of these drinks. You can tweak them a little bit, but you want to keep them balanced. I just feel that everything else is lost over the lemon. Still, it's a great drink. I have no regrets. Cheers. Speaking of regrets, sit right back and let me tell you about Burks, the defiler of the dispossessed of San Francisco. This story starts in San Diego, at the Greyhound bus station, or rather, the liquor store next door to the Greyhound bus station. A young, underage sailor rolled up in there with $25 and proceeded to buy 2 gallons of popov vodka. This channel does not condone the consumption of bottom shelf vodka, but I was underage, an alcohol amateur as it were, and this was well before YouTube, so I didn't have the luxury of a channel like Before the Mast to teach me the finer points of well-balanced cocktails while delivering a notice to mariners to keep the stray seamen away from the shoals of drunkenness. Consider yourselves lucky that you have me. You can thank me in the comments section. Now fully stocked, I boarded the bus for a 12-hour ride, San Diego to San Francisco. The bus left around 8 p.m. I sat in the back. It smelled like piss and puke, and I tried desperately to dull my senses by drinking popov vodka. By around North Hollywood, I didn't care about the smell anymore. By Bakersfield, I was being hit on pretty heavily by a lady who looked like she was 50 but was probably about 20 and strung out on heroin. By Los Baños, I just didn't care. Around 8 a.m. we pulled into the Greyhound terminal on Mission Street in San Francisco. A short stagger away, I found myself at McDonald's on Powell and Market. For breakfast. Breakfast here was a large orange juice with the remains of bottle number 1 of popov poured in with a little kicker from bottle number 2. Well, after a few minutes, I walked out the back door to smoke a cigarette. Unbeknownst to me, if you walked out the back door of McDonald's on Powell and Market Street, you found yourself in the Tenderloin District, which back then was not the safest neighborhood to be in if you were by yourself. Well, just then an old homeless guy walked up and said, "Hey man, your boy out here doing bad. You got $1?" I did not have $1. So I offered him a cigarette, He was unmoved. I don't smoke. Boy, you dress all nice. I know you got $1. Man, I don't have $1. And that's when he got incredulous. Change, man! I need change! Well, I realized that I probably should get out of this situation, so I put my cigarette out on the wall, and as I did, the man said, "Boy, I'll stab you for your change." Then he got these crazy eyes. Yeah, that's what he said. Well, as I turned to leave, he produced one of those wood-handled utility knives, you know, like maybe a little 3-inch job. Well, he drove it deep into my upper left arm. I jerked away instinctively and, well, the knife stayed in my arm. I was wearing Popov's armor, so I felt nothing. I just looked at the wood handle sticking out of my arm, and I shrieked, "You stabbed me!" And then I yanked the knife out, which did hurt. Well, out of reflex, I just jabbed the guy in the top of his left shoulder, right there. It was total reflex. And then I grabbed my sea bag and ran through McDonald's onto Powell Street, and then hopped on a cable car and took it to the wharf. I stayed at the wharf for a little bit. I bandaged my arm with a clean sock out of my sea bag and waited for another cable car to come and take me back to Market Street. You see, I had to hop on BART to take it to Luna's pad in Pacifica, where my girlfriend was supposed to pick me up. When I got back to Market, I looked around and I didn't see my new friend. So I started walking to the stairs down to the BART station. Well, that's when another homeless guy approached me. I had blood trickling down my arm, and I was wondering why I seemed to be a mark for the unhoused. And this guy came up and gave me a story I don't even remember, but he was nice enough. So I told him I didn't have any money, but I could do one better for him. So I dug into my sea bag and I produced the other mostly full bottle of vodka, handed it to him and smiled. Cheers, pal. Well, he took his newfound booty and we walked our separate ways. About 10 paces out, I heard,
"Hey, you with the bottle! Stop! You know you're not supposed to have an open container in public. Hands behind your back."
"But that guy just gave it to me."
I turned to see two cops wrestle this poor mite to the ground and pilfer his popov and
"Get on the ground!
Let me go! Let me go!"
Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Stay on the ground! Hands behind your back!"
I just walked faster. It was not a good day for the homeless in San Francisco. Poor guy. A few hours later, I was picked up by my girlfriend in her 1988 Fiat. I thought, oh good, well, at least now the good times can start. Au contraire, mon frère. I expected her to turn right on Highway 1. I expected that we would speak about what our plans were for the weekend. I expected to have a relaxing time. What I got was wholly different. Well, she turned left on Highway 1. And as she drove through a treacherous pass called the Devil's Slide, driving a manual with one hand while smoking with the other, she spoke of all the things she thought were wrong with me. This came out of nowhere. There was no warning sign, no provocation. It just, bam, hit me like a brick wall. She furiously puffed on her cigarette, trying to ash out the window, but never realizing that the window was closed. The ash just bounced off the window and exploded like miniature sandbags falling into her lap. You treat me like I'm everything. God, I'm just a person. She said that. I kept trying to tell her that her window was up, but I couldn't get a word in as she went on with her roast. And then, are you bleeding? Is that a sock? What did you do this time? You are so immature. I thought I was being pretty innovative by using a sock. You know, just stop the blood loss. Oh my God. She turned around in the middle of the street and drove back towards Luna's house, all the while going on about what a problem I am until she finally ran out of words and she fell silent. You ashed in your lap. She let me know that she didn't care. She stopped in front of Luna's house and told me that she had to think. I realized that my weekend plans had now changed. Okay, I'll call you. I walked back into Luna's house where the entire Luna family, Luna, his parents, and his two little sisters were standing around the kitchen. They all wanted to know why I was back. Not like, why are you back, but like, what happened to your plans? At least that's how I took it. I told them the whole sordid story. And the whole time they laughed and laughed and thought it was just the funniest story they'd ever heard. Well, I'm glad my pain could bring people pleasure. But then, that's what this entire channel is all about, no? Well, Luna knew how to cheer me up. So we got some beer and took it to the park adjacent to the high school. We sat there drinking our beers, contemplating the meaning of life and wondering why I'm such a magnet for bad circumstances. I was set to go on deployment in a month and Luna was getting out of the Navy, so we were kind of hanging out for the last time for a while. We were interrupted by an ambush from the Pacifica PD. They came screeching up like there was a bank robbery in progress while Luna and I just sat on the swing set, surrounded by beer bottles, trying to figure out who the cops were after. Turns out they were after us. They snatched us up and were about to arrest us for underage drinking, drinking in public, drinking on school property, and they threatened to charge me with being a smartass. I didn't realize that being a smartass was against the law. Either way, I told the cop that I'd rather be a smartass than a dumb shit. The officer politely let me know that they're actually the same thing in the eyes of the law. And they started asking us what command we were attached to and started warning us that we'd get in extra trouble if the command found out that we got thrown in the pokey. But when I told them that I was deploying, they took pity on us. They made us clean up our mess. We would have done that anyway. We're sailors, not animals. But the hardest part was when they made us pour out our remaining beer. I think there was only one left. Luna and I walked back to the house, and another long day was put to bed. And that is the story of my weekend of woe. So what's the moral of this mess? Don't drink popov vodka. Thanks for drinking with me tonight. Cheers, assholes.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Early in the morning.
Elvis is on the moon. If self-esteem. Whore. Let's try that again. Let's break out the booze. For this drink, you will need dark rum. I'm going to use Pusser's black powder. It's a little sticky. Ew. Hold on, hold that thought. This would probably be better if I hadn't just brushed my teeth. Oh. That's really good, actually. It takes a minute. Sidebar.